He said, "Trust me, I'd never lie to you." 2 weeks later, my apartment was ransacked, my accounts frozen, and someone had stolen my identity. It started with the alarm. 3:17 a.m. My phone screen lit up with a notification. Unauthorized access detected. Multiple failed login attempts. I rolled over, groggy, and tapped the alert. But before I could even blink it away, another message popped up. This one wasn't from a security app. It was a photo. My apartment door, wide open, taken from the hallway. Time-stamped, 3 minutes ago. I sat up instantly, pulse pounding, ears straining in the silence. Then I heard it. A creak. Not from my room. From the kitchen. I moved fast, bare feet silent on the hardwood. Grabbed the small knife taped under my desk. My paranoid habit from an old life I thought I'd left behind. Edged toward the kitchen. Empty. But the back window? Unlocked. I'd never leave it that way. Something was wrong. Very wrong. The drawers were pulled out. Files scattered. Laptop gone. Hard drive missing. And on the fridge, scrawled in red Sharpie, "You trusted the wrong one." The blood drained from my face. I wasn't just being robbed. I was being targeted. I called Nate first, my closest friend, the one who'd been there through the darkest parts of my life. He picked up on the second ring. "Jake, I need you here. Now." He didn't ask questions, just said, "I'm on my way." By the time he arrived, I'd swept up most of the papers, but I didn't touch the message. I wanted him to see it. He froze when he did. "Jesus," he whispered. I watched his face carefully. No reaction. Too little. Too calm. "You think this was random?" he asked. I shook my head. "Number?" They knew what to look for. He looked at the empty hard drive case. "Your client files?" I nodded. "Encrypted?" he asked. "Yes, but with access to my laptop." He winced. I didn't sleep that night. Neither did Nate. We cleaned up the mess, and by sunrise I was already drafting a damage control protocol. Then came the second blow. Every account I had, banking, social, cloud, was locked or altered. My name was flagged under suspicious activity. Even my lease was terminated. The photo, the intrusion, the erasure, it was personal, calculated, and someone had planned it from the inside. I thought of my team, my inner circle, 3 people, Nate, Clara, Devin. I trusted all of them. I needed to trust all of them. But someone had just declared war on me and left a signature carved in silence and betrayal. I stared at that Sharpie message again, chest tight. "You trusted the wrong one," and I whispered the only thing that made sense anymore. "I'm going to find you. And when I do, you'll wish you stayed in the shadows." By the next morning, I was already spiraling. I stood in front of the remnants of my life. Paper trails burned, devices scrubbed, names and dates blurred like fingerprints on glass. My apartment looked normal again. But I wasn't fooled. Whoever had done this knew me. They knew how I think, not just what I had. That narrowed it down. 3 suspects. 3 people I trusted enough to let behind the curtain. I started with Clara. She was my tech analyst, sharp, restless, and 10 steps ahead of any firewall I'd ever built. I met her at a cybersecurity conference 4 years ago. She'd been helping me ever since. I called, no answer. So I went to her. She opened the door in a hoodie and boxers, hair wild. "Jake, what the hell?" "Someone broke in," I cut in. "Stole the laptop. Took everything." Her face went pale. "They hacked your accounts too?" she asked, already moving to grab her gear. "Wiped them." She sat down, cracked open her own laptop. "I'll start tracing. Who else knows your access paths?" "Nate, Devin, and you." She didn't flinch. "Then it's one of us," she said bluntly. I didn't reply. I was watching her screen, but my mind was elsewhere. Nate was the obvious choice. The first person I called, the one who'd seen the scene, had a chance to adjust things, plant new seeds. But Clara had the access. And Devin? He ran the financials. If my accounts were hijacked, that was his domain. By noon, Clara had a lead. "Look at this." She turned the screen. A ghost login from 3 days ago, before the break-in. originating from a hotel in Brooklyn, under a fake name. Want to guess who paid for the room, she asked. She hit a key. Devin Burke. The bottom dropped out of my stomach. Devin, the guy who'd mentored me, who'd backed me when no one else would, the only one who knew the passwords I never wrote down. My hand tightened into a fist. I'm going to him, I said. Clara looked up. Not yet. What? Wait. Let's bait him. Make him show his cards. I narrowed my eyes. I'll fake a recovery, she said. Post a public trace. Make it look like we've restored the drives. We'll give him just enough time to panic. And then? Her smile was thin. Then we watch who moves first. It was a trap, and I was tired of being prey. That night I sent a message to Nate. Think I've cracked it. Meeting tomorrow. Noon. I sent the same to Devin. I wanted to see both their faces in the same room. No masks, no shadows, just the truth. And if one of them blinked, that would be enough. The next day, 11:58 a.m., I walked into the private lounge of the Midtown office space I rented for meetings I didn't want traced. Clara had set up audio surveillance, linked to her phone. She'd be listening from the cafe across the street. I took the head seat at the long oak table. Nate walked in first, relaxed, smiling like this was just another Tuesday. Good to see you up, man, he said. You look like hell. I've had better weeks. Devin followed moments later, always punctual. He nodded at me, then Nate, then sat, 3 chairs down, like always, predictable, controlled. I kept the fake external drive on the table, just in view. This it? Devin asked, gesturing. Recovered fragments, I lied. Enough to put pieces together. Nate leaned in, trying to act casual. You gonna tell us who did it? I looked between them. Not yet. They both shifted. I placed my hands flat on the table. I want you both to know, this isn't just about files, it's about trust. And someone in this room burned it. Nate scoffed. You can't seriously think it's one of us. I stayed quiet. Devin exhaled sharply. Jake, if you're accusing me, I'm not accusing, I interrupted. I'm watching. And then Clara's message buzzed in my pocket. Nate just transferred $20,000 to offshore. Timestamp, 5 minutes ago. My heart thudded. I looked at Nate. Problem, man? He raised an eyebrow. You tell me. You made a move today, quiet one, but fast. A flicker, barely noticeable, but enough. Devin turned sharply. What move? I pulled out my phone, tapped the screenshot Clara had sent me, and slid it to Devin. He stared. Is this a joke? Nate froze. You said we were brothers, I said quietly. And the second I was down, you grabbed the knife. His jaw tightened. You have no proof that was me. You booked the Brooklyn hotel under your cousin's name. Clara traced it. Silence. He looked at Devin. Don't believe him. He's spinning it. But Devin wasn't looking at him anymore. He was staring at me, slowly processing. You always said it wasn't about money, Devin said, voice low. But I guess that was a lie too. Come on, Nate said. You're going to take his word over mine? I stood, and so did Devin. You're done, Devin said flat. Jake, I'll call the board. He's off the consultancy. Immediately. Nate's face twisted, somewhere between panic and fury. You set this up. No, I said. You did. The second you thought I'd never know. He stormed out, but it didn't matter. The room felt clean again. Devin sat back down, rubbed his temples. You really would have let me burn if it was me? I looked him in the eyes. I would have watched the fire. Outside, I met Clara on the corner. She was already packing her laptop away. Told you he'd crack, she said. I nodded, but something still itched under my skin. This was only one layer, and I wasn't finished digging. 3 days later, I found the second betrayal. It didn't come through an email or a message. It came in the form of silence. Clara. She stopped responding the moment Nate was exposed. No, we did it. No follow-up logs. No curious questions about Devin. Just vanished. At first, I thought she was tired, burned out. But then I got a call from our cloud storage provider. Mr. Harlan, we noticed an unusual access pattern. Someone logged into your master archive from an unrecognized device. IP traced to Soho. Time-stamped, 1 hour after Nate left the office. Only 3 people ever had that level of access. Me, Nate, Clara, and Nate was already out of the system. Devin never had root credentials. I pulled Clara's name from the emergency contact list and stared at it like it was a stranger's. Then I made the call. She answered. Hey, she said too quickly, too light. Been off grid. You good? You accessed the archive. A pause, one breath too long. No, I didn't. Clara, I don't know what you're talking about. Then you won't mind me revoking all admin permissions and running a trace. Silence. I could hear her breath. I didn't take anything, she said finally. I just checked what was left. Why? Another pause. You weren't supposed to win that fast, she whispered, and everything in me locked up. You were working with him? Number, I was watching him. There's a difference. Don't spin it. I wanted to see who you'd become when everything collapsed. If you'd use the fire or let it consume you. My voice dropped. So this was a test? I helped you, Jake. I still am. You needed to see the game. You needed to stop trusting shadows. I should have yelled. I didn't. Because somehow part of me always knew. What did you take? Nothing that hurts you. Just leverage. Against me? Against anyone. A long pause stretched between us. I'm cutting you out, I said. I expected that. And if I ever see you again, you won't. Click. Just like that, the girl who once swore she'd never betray me was gone. I stared at the city from my rooftop that night, wind tugging at my coat, thoughts heavier than the sky. I'd trusted them, all of them, and I'd been played from every angle, but I wasn't broken. Number, I was just getting started. The real enemy, still watching, still waiting. But now I was watching back. I launched the plan at midnight. No fanfare, no announcement. Just a silent upload to a hidden drive containing every shred of data I had. Bank logs, IP traces, voice recordings, metadata maps. A digital confession of all the moves Nate and Clara had made, built like a puzzle, designed to be opened only by one person, Devin. Because in the end, I realized something chilling. Clara was clever, Nate was bold. But Devin, he was patient. He never rushed, never reacted, never made a mistake. And he was the one who stood to gain the most if I fell. Not just financially, but reputationally, strategically. All roads led to him. He'd set Nate up as the obvious saboteur. Let Clara poke and prod. He stayed clean, helpful, loyal, the perfect inside man. So I tested him. I leaked a fake vulnerability in our overseas contract. Something any true partner would flag. Something only someone looking to strike would use. He bit. Within 12 hours, a foreign shell company started pulling funding from that very contract. The registration? A blind trust managed by one D. Burke. He wasn't just complicit, he was the architect. So I turned his silence against him. I compiled every move, every name, every account, and fed it to the people he feared most. Regulators, competitors, media partners. Quietly, precisely. By noon, he was locked out of 3 firms. By 3 p.m., subpoenas landed. By 5 p.m., I got the text. You win, but you'll never trust anyone again. He was right, but I was still standing, and they were all gone. I walked back into the office that night, alone. The desk lights hummed. The city blinked beyond the glass. And I sat in the silence, not with triumph, not even with relief, just clarity, because trust wasn't something I'd lose again. From now on, I'd build alone. No shadows, no masks, just truth, and the fire to defend it.